Welcome back again to our another new episode, podcast with Sudiksha. Welcome back again, each and everyone. Today also we have a very new, beautiful guest tonight. Today, giving her a little bit introduction. She has worked in a people and culture team for the long time, and she has a plenty of experience on it. And then also, interesting thing is she is a human behavior specialist as well. That definitely interested me. Tonight we're gonna ask a lot of questions to her. We'll share a lot of nuggets from her side, and then yeah. So let's start without further delay. She's none other than Junita. Welcome, Junita, to our show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction and for calling me beautiful. I really like that. Yes, so introducing myself, the way I normally do it is I go back to the beginning. Yeah. So I was actually born in Malaysia to Indian parents, both Bengali. They decided to give me a Spanish name. And then they migrated to Australia.
Okay.
So I grew up in Australia in the 70s and 80s. I would imagine that would be a very different Australia to what you're experiencing today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, and part of that story is when I was in grade 3, I have no memory of that grade. Because apparently my parents said I was bullied so much.
Oh, really?
Yes, I was coming home crying every day. So I've completely shut that out of my memory. And then they decided to send me to Catholic school because both of them in India went to Catholic schools. That was better. And then I got into the workforce. And I thought everybody was equal. And I didn't even consider the colour of my skin. I just went in there and I guess after 30 years of experience, both in leadership roles and in human resources, then some of the past trauma came to haunt me.
Oh, really?
Of things that would go on. So what I do for work now is I have a consulting business that does various things. We do coaching and consulting, and it's mainly so that workplaces are inclusive and so that young men and women are not going through the things we went through back in the day, and they feel empowered to be their best selves.
I can totally relate to you about those things. Like I also came to Australia. It's nearly 11 years. Definitely have a lot of experience than myself. But in the beginning phase, when we came from overseas, little bit kind of bully things definitely happen because the most common reason for it is, I think, is a language barrier. For me, gradually I improved my communication skills with exposure, and then I never felt so. But before, when I was young, when I came here at the initial beginning phase for 2 years, 3 years, I think that was a cultural barrier and communication barrier. That's why I felt the same.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that, because that was the one thing I didn't have. Growing up in Australia, you can tell my accent is probably overly Australian sometimes. But you should know that what you've done and what a lot of your students and clients have done is amazing. To leave a home country, to come to such a foreign country, not only study, work, but build a business. That is amazing. And I think a lot of people forget, I haven't done that. I've only been overseas for holidays. I'm so boring. So congratulations on doing that and building a life and a business here.
Thanks a lot, Junita. But basically, the objective behind us opening the business is we try to help the overseas student. They are so struggling to get the job, and they came from overseas, so they don't have any idea how they can get the break to get the job in IT and accounting market. That's how we are helping them, just impacting some people.
That's amazing. All. And they need that because they didn't have that before.
Yeah. They have a potential, but they don't know how to get there.
Yes.
So that's what we teach them. Otherwise, they have a lot of potential. They have a great personality, they have a very great communication skills, but they don't know how to get the break in IT and accounting industry. And they are lagging behind. And that's how we are helping them. We are impacting society. We are impacting overseas students. Yeah, not only overseas students, some of the students who are 40 plus, They think age is a barrier, but no, in Australia, age is not a barrier. Nothing is barrier, right, in Australia?
I think it's a mindset,
It's a mindset.
right?
Yeah.
I understand how some people would feel. I am over 50 myself. I never used to admit that, right? But I think the advantage of being South Asian is you continue to remain young for a while.
That's right. That's right.
And so different for different things. I think for the young people coming in, it's working on their confidence because they do stand out for their technical skill sets, specifically in accounting and technology, right? It's an area where people from South Asia and Asia are blooming all around the world. But at the other stage, it is about honouring what you bring and probably having to do a little bit more like you did. If there's language barriers, you've got to put that effort in. And maybe even use simple tools like you can get a free Grammarly for your written word. And I also say do a lot of reading in English.
Yeah. For me, even going back to the history, I think I improved my communication skills by reading books. I read a lot of books. I love reading books. And maybe you can relate with me. I feel like there is a solution of all the problems in books.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I was actually at the Sydney Writers' Festival.
Oh, really?
Last night.
I saw your post. How it was good.
Yeah, good. What's your favourite book?
At the moment, I'm reading leadership books, but my all-time favorite is always motivational book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very easy to flip through at any page.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your reading habit. That's a very good habit to have.
Yeah. And my best book is The Magic of Thinking Big. And regarding leadership, I think Reader's Greatest Return by John C. Maxwell. That's my best book.
Yes. So Maxwell does the 5 levels of leadership.
Yeah.
Excellent book.
Excellent.
Very high level in terms of understanding the leadership mindset, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I just like to know a little bit about yourself again, like at the moment what you are doing and what you are busy with. How is your day-to-day life going on?
Yeah, so after 30 years inside corporates, I have escaped. So I have my own business. It's called Xpand Coaching and Consulting with an X. And the X is symbolism for people who are at a crossroads in their career for whatever reason, whether they're starting out or they're changing careers. So there's the career coaching bit. But the X is also, X marks the spot. So that's the uniqueness we all bring to the table. And we forget when we're looking for jobs and we're 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000. And so what my business does, it coaches and supports and partners with corporates. Generally, I do small to medium. I also do some health industry outfits as well as government too. And I've got overseas clients and local clients. So we look deep underneath at what are the human behaviour issues that are affecting and draining your time. Because it's not usually lack of technical skill set. It is always something to do with communication. And so we help those organisations be more inclusive. And for individuals, we help them fall in love with their new job and hopefully fall in love with their self and their leadership potential.
Yeah.
It sounds very romantic, doesn't it?
And and I think this is always the very hot topic, like leadership skills rather than technical skills. What I have found with my student also, they are much more focused into only technical. They don't focus into like a behavioral skill and leadership skills. But what I'm saying is having a technical skills will only not let you to get the job. Even though you get the job, but how do you sustain it? To sustain it, you must have some kind of like leadership skills as well, managerial skills as well. And if you want to have a promotion in your company, you must have some kind of skills, right?
Absolutely. So I have a question for you. Is it because of the way they were brought up in studies.
Yes. Yeah.
So the culture of studying was go into books and remember things.
That's all. Yeah.
Okay.
Even my parents, they always used to tell me, okay, you have to study. They never allow us to, have a meet and greet up with people. They just want me to focus on study. That this is our culture, right? This is how we brought up.
Yes, it's changing. In a way, it's starting to change overseas.
It's starting to change, yeah.
In some cases, overseas have become more progressive than the local communities here.
Yeah.
But it's important to realise that that's how we were brought up.
Yeah.
And even in Australia, there was definitely the focus on the typical stereotypes. You must be a doctor, engineer. Even IT was fantastic. So when I decided to go into human resources, it wasn't very sexy for my parents. They weren't very proud until one day they saw me on page 3 of a business newspaper, and then they called all their friends. But I'm like, it shouldn't be like that. People should be able to work to their strengths. But it's good to understand that if that's the way you were brought up, it's habit changing. America is the opposite. Americans from an early schooling age get people to do a lot of public speaking.
Yeah.
In their assignments, less sort of bookwormy type stuff. And so I think Australia is a nice healthy balance between the two. And to be technical is great, but I think everybody's got something that they love to do. And I see students coming here and they're going hiking, they have hobbies, whether that be cricket or dancing, whatever it is. Lead with that. Don't forget the creative part of yourself, because that's where innovation comes. So you can be a good coder, good at your coding, but does that make you a good problem solver? Not all the time.
No. Yeah.
So to get out of that, it's to nurture your creative side as well. Do what you're doing, read books, listen to podcasts, but get active and make the most of being in a country like Australia where we have so many cultures you can experience.
Yeah. And make the habit and be consistent on what you are doing. Then you will get success.
Oh, absolutely. Consistency is everything. And I think now with social media and the seduction of having something straight on hand, we can get distracted. So I'm seeing with the Gen Z population, I don't know if you see it,
they are so much
short attention span.
Yeah, short attention span, yeah. Even they are feeling bored with TikTok also.
Yeah. Look, I love TikTok.
Yeah.
I love visuals.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've always been young at heart.
Yeah.
But every generation says they're better than the next generation, and I'm not saying that, right? I think I'm a Generation X. You're a millennial.
Yeah.
We're a forgotten generation. We just got on with it.
Yeah.
But what will happen is when AI comes in, as it is coming in, and it's going to revolutionize jobs, what employers are going to look for is not going to be what the robots can do. So it's very important that you focus on your communication skills. Even with an accent, you can have amazing communication skills. And I would always say to young people, invest in some kind of presentation training, whether that's going to a local Toastmasters, which is free. And I used to do that in one of my companies when I was the head of HR. I created an internal Toastmasters, and the best speakers were people who were born overseas in the end, because they practiced, they talked about things that they cared about, and you could see the results.
Yeah, right. Going back to the history, what do you think you like the most about people and culture?
Why I went into leadership and then human resources is when I was a leader, this was back in the days of call centres, where call centres had, service levels and things that you had to meet. I got a new job in a financial services company, and I was coming in from external, and they put all the naughty people, the performance issues in my team.
Oh.
So I was in and out of HR's doors all the time, and they were so helpful, and they taught me everything that I continue to actually reteach or on-teach today. And so then I got my graduate certificate in HR. It complemented my psychology degree, and then eventually my coaching studies. So all of that comes together, and we call it behaviour, but it's really who you are and who I am, not just what we see, but the backgrounds we come from that we don't see, that affects our everyday decisions. Like we just said, our schooling has made us very different in terms of how we consume information. So I think it's what makes us tick, what makes us find romantic partners, what makes us leave romantic partners, right? Like the whole world, as much as this bot business comes up, it will always be about connection and relationships.
Yeah, it's all about connection and relationship and human touch, I think.
Yeah. So I love it. It's after doing a few degrees, it was what resonated with me. And thank God now I can have my own business and really enjoy every day with different clients, lots of variety.
So what makes you open your own business?
I don't have anybody who has business in my family.
That's something like an icebreaker, right?
I'll tell you what, so I was, how many years ago now? Probably 7 years ago. I was at my own hen's weekend with my girlfriends before I got married, and they had a fortune teller come in. And the fortune teller looked at me and said, "You're going to be a coach and you're going to have your own business." And I'm like, no way. I don't want the headache. I like the comfort of being in an organisation. And then COVID hit, and it was the perfect opportunity to stop, revive, and do some extra training, which was also training on how to run a business, because you would know. Yeah. It's crazy. And then you get used to it. You practice it. You get used to it. In every year, you get better.
Yeah.
Well, you hope you're getting better.
Even I work in a corporate world for 10 years, and then I left that job, and then I started my own business. The feelings starting own businesses, you are always stress-free. Isn't that right?
Are you always stress-free? Because I want what you're having if you don't have stress.
For me, when I was working for someone else, I was always, occupied with them. I was always thinking what they were going to think about me. And we have a line-to-line meeting, and I should be always on the top of my performance. But I was working for other people. But now I'm working for myself. So in that part, I think I don't have that much stress because no one is controlling me. That's the thing.
I understand. It's a different type of stress.
Yeah, different type of stress. Yeah.
You can turn it on and turn it off. It's up to you.
Yeah, it's a positive stress.
It's not up to anybody else.
No. Yeah, I can say it's a positive stress, and even I can handle it properly. That is stress. But if you are in a corporate world, sometimes you are not able to handle that stress.
That's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because there's way too much stress. And it's not necessarily technical stress. Yeah. Yes, there's deadlines and things like that. But mostly where there's conflict inside organisations and people are unhappy, it's leadership.
Yeah.
Or lack of leadership.
Yeah, lack of
leadership competence. And so in my new program that I've just developed, we go through the 12 competencies of not just leadership, but inclusive leadership. And inclusive leadership is not just about what race you are, if you're LGBTQI or not LGBTQI. It's also about your thought, your thinking, your upbringing, whether you're introverted or extroverted, I would imagine your technical clients are very introverted. That's a generalization. But introversion brings its own assumptions. Same with extroversion. And these things collide in the workplace. But we don't say, hey, it's because I'm an introvert and you're an extrovert. We come up with other excuses like the way you wrote that email. Or there's not enough resources for us to get that done, or why am I working 16-hour days? These are the things that come up, this toxicity. And that's what I do to try and make companies who want to do better, because as you know, even as a small business, we can't get everything right. You're not perfect. But the companies who do want to do better, they actually get a lot of value from the investment of going deeper.
Right. I work with a male manager and a female manager, but I can sense some kind of difference in leadership among male and female manager.
What do you prefer?
I can see female manager have some kind of empathy.
Right.
But male manager doesn't have.
See, that's your experience, and that becomes your reality.
Yeah.
Mine has been opposite.
Oh, really?
Yes. I've always enjoyed working with males, but I've also had some really good female bosses early in my career who really believed in me. But I think in the world of feminism, there's a lot of competition as well.
Yes, you are right.
So if you get a very highly female-dominated industry, that plays out. So it's very context dependent. I don't think it's a gender issue. I think it's a competence issue of whether the organisation supports leadership in an authentic way or not. And I would say to your job seekers to make sure that before that they're going for interviews to do as much research as possible. Look up their Glassdoor reviews and ask them things about what are their policies and strategies around diversity and inclusion, and be informed about some decisions that they make around their work.
Right, because, like great manager and great boss plays a vital role for any employee.
You might go into an organisation and have a fabulous boss and then they leave. And then what happens? So we have to be resilient. We have to know who to go to. And I know human resources gets a bad name. Some people call it human remains. But if you have good human resources, they should... It's also the competency of why you would go to them, how you would go to them. Not necessarily to do something, but to get some coaching from them. But if people don't feel safe with their human resources, then that's probably not an organisation that is going to be good for a diverse population. And unfortunately, there are too many of those organisations that exist.
Right. I have one question for you. Like, even I work in so many organizations, but some of the organizations, they give people a culture team, HR team, but some of the organizations, even though they are a medium scale, like they don't keep HR, like manager handle everything. So why do you think so?
Oh, it's the big question is, when in your development do you bring HR in? Some companies, the CEOs or the founders, have had a bad taste of HR in their experience. And so because they've had a bad taste, they said, we don't need it. Or they might outsource it. But I have a lot of smaller companies. They don't have HR. I have a medium company who doesn't have HR, but they're not toxic. And it all depends on who's at top, how much skill set they have. But I think there is a point where you have to ask yourself, at least where do I bring in outplacement or some kind of outsourced HR support, not for you, but for the team.
Yeah. But definitely HR and people and culture team is definitely necessary for the company.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the American company that I'm working for is doing really well without it, but they have very strong leadership.
Okay.
I think if they were to double in size, that would be a different story.
Yeah. My next question is, what do you think are the good qualities in one good leader?
Oh, wow. That is a loaded question. I think some people are born with leadership. I wasn't. Perhaps their parents were leaders, so they learnt a lot off them.
Yeah.
Perhaps if I take the Australian example, perhaps they went to a private school, which, makes them more entitled than others because of the exposure they get. But because of the schooling, they were taught leadership, right? So for those born leaders, and they're not that many of them.
They are very less.
They have an intuitive sense of what to do. However, at some point, they need to be able to communicate that to others. So what you get is great leaders, and then their business grows, and then they bring in other leaders, and they don't know how to transfer that knowledge.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to codify what makes good leadership. And I think it's understanding strategy, being very disciplined about your vision, values, mission. And if you're not the founder, if you're just in middle management, it's a lot of things. It's emotional intelligence, situational leadership. These are all constructs that I teach. Self-regulation.
Yeah.
And balance.
Right.
When I was in leadership, I worked so many hours. Did I get the job done? Yes. Was I effective? Yes. Could I have been more effective?
Yeah.
Yes. But I didn't have enough self-worth to say, my job is not my identity. There has to be other things too.
Yeah. My boss used to tell me leaders are not born in maternity ward because sometimes leadership skills can be transferable.
100% agree. And that's what I do. I teach it. But you need to be willing to do the work. Some people like the title and the money that comes with leadership, but mark my word, it is not for the faint-hearted.
No.
People issues are complex, and people sometimes think they can read a book and do leadership or go to a course and do leadership. No. It's constant inwards thinking, inwards insights, and seeking support, seeking communities of practice, and continuing to learn different things. I mean, I'm not an expert. I say I am because I teach it, but there's always something every day I'm learning to be a lifelong leader. And that means sometimes you have to make difficult decisions.
Yeah.
But the way you make those decisions will define your leadership.
That's why all the leaders are not managers and all the managers are not leaders.
Yeah, I mean, if you even look at Mahatma Gandhi, we put him up there, and we should, for the good things he's done, but he said some terrible things about Africans in his lifetime.
Yeah.
And, does that define who he ended up being? No. But there's context. It was a particular stage and a particular generation. Lots of things were happening. There's a lot of leaders we celebrate that have other sides to them. And for me personally, authentic leadership, saying what you believe and doing what you tell others to do, there's a lot to be said for that. And it's hard because you get seduced by what's easier. Yeah. Sometimes the law doesn't make it easy, but authentic leadership is being what you say to others and what you do yourself.
Right.
Even if that's bad, like, whether you like him or hate him, Donald Trump is an authentic leader because he is inside out. You know who he is. It's a terrible being for us, but a lot of people like it. It's consistent.
Yeah. For me, I think the greatest leader, personally, I like Sadhguru.
Yes, I'm not very religious, so is it a religious, faith-based person?
You don't know about Sadhguru?
No. Maybe I do in a different name.
I can say he's a leader, he's a motivational speaker, and what I can say, in terms of religious thing, people call him Guru.
Right. Isn't it funny though, because every time we think of a leader, we always think of a male.
Yeah.
Right? I run a workshop and 80% of the leaders that people bring up are male.
No, I am the greatest fan of B.K. Sivani as well. She is one of the leader of Brahma Kumari. Have you heard about?
I have heard of that. I went to Brahma Kumari. I went to one of their, I don't know what they call it, but worship sessions in Ashfield.
Yes, they do have center there.
Yeah. But, there's other leaders that we don't have to look far. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. You're a leader, right? And I think we put people on such a pedestal, Bollywood and etc. But we have such amazing people here in our communities, both in our white communities and coloured communities, who are doing incredible work.
Yeah.
For me, let's highlight their leadership.
Yeah.
Stop looking at the media.
Fancy name.
Yeah, the fancy people and start mentoring from these wonderful people that are just around us.
Yeah, right. For me, if anyone mentor me, if anyone is showing me the right path, if anyone is giving me correction factor, that is leader for me.
Yes, you like feedback.
I like
constructive feedback.
Because how can I move on without getting constructive feedback? But there will be a very less people who provide me constructive feedback, but I always admire them. Because how can I go further in my life if I didn't get any feedback, if I didn't get any correction factor, then how could I go forward in my life?
Yeah.
That's very important, I think.
So giving feedback is a skill, and I teach that. But getting feedback is another skill.
Another skill.
So you seem to be very good at getting feedback.
Yeah.
That's hard for people.
Because see, what I do is sometimes I reflect back myself. Like I reflect back what I did wrong in the last couple of days, in the last couple of years, so that I can improve myself. But only reflecting back will not, help me to move forward. Sometimes other people, third eye, it says third eye. Sometimes other people has to provide me constructive feedback, and then I can move forward, I think.
Yeah, I think we all need it.
Yeah.
I have a coach. I haven't done my homework for her tomorrow, but she's made me a better coach too, and a better business leader. And I remember time without her and with her, and for us to be able to say we need help because we can't always see our stuff. Easy to see other people's things, but harder to see it for yourself.
Yeah, it's harder to see ourselves. Yeah. I have a mentor as well. I have a coach, and even a small words from his side, it affects me a lot. It changes me a lot.
Yeah.
So everyone must have a mentor in their life, I think so.
Yeah, different stages. I think for young people, seek out mentors.
Yeah.
Right, especially for young women. There's a tradition of men. I'm not saying it's today, but already getting sponsored in the business place because of what they do, and less for young females, and even more for young intersectional females or women of colour. But teaching people to have the confidence to go out and seek a mentor and have a program around that mentorship so that it works.
Yeah, so I think for me, from my definition, best leader is someone, who can bring best from the employee, best from the student, best from the candidate, even though candidate is not able to reflect on himself or herself.
That's a good definition, is a leader who's able to empower and work through others versus working through themselves, right? There's a different skill set. I could be the best marketer, but how do I make my team fabulous marketers? I need to let them fail sometimes.
Exactly.
I need to be competent at giving them growth-based feedback. And there's a combination of humbleness, but also directness when necessary, depending on the situation. That's a good definition.
Yeah, I think leaders always bring best from the people. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's other things which we won't discuss because it's different, but there is a new thing that's coming up called upwards bullying. You may not have experienced it, but where people are being bullied from their employees. It's a little bit rarer than the other variety, but these things exist now as the world changes.
Yeah, this thing exists, definitely. Okay, do you want to run down a little bit about your client? What kind of client you have at the moment?
90% of my clients are tech clients. They're either startup, scale up, or under 100 staff. But I do work with, I have a background in not-for-profit, so I love always working for organisations that make a difference. And I also do government and health.
Okay.
So I like those industries because they align with my values. I really like helping the people there who may not be as resourced internally with learning and development staff to be their best selves.
Right. And do you have any plan to expand your business further, or your business is based in Sydney only?
Well, it's global, and I love the global aspect of it. So I want to get more global, if anything, because being a diversity person, it's really important to understand culture in different places, because I've appreciated what I've learnt about American culture, that we sometimes in Australia criticise, but we don't empathise with the different areas and states and what they're experiencing. India's a different story as well. I haven't been to Nepal. But
really?
all countries have their internal diversity issues. And we talk about racism, but I know in India we are highly racist amongst our internal
in Nepal
states.
too.
Like, colour of skin. You can't always blame colonisation, although you can blame a lot on that.
Yeah.
But, from that comes this obsession with fairness.
I'm pretty much surprised, even in my childhood, I'm a brownie, I'm a brownie child, I'm a dosky child. And in my family also, we have a joint family, right? And in our joint family also, they used to do bias with a fair skin and brown skin. They used to treat a fair skin child as a very beautiful child, but brown skin child is not that much beautiful child. So I think racism starts from there.
Absolutely. But thank God things are changing. So that's why I love Sabyasachi, my designer hero, because in his models, he has dusky models, beautiful dusky models. Yeah. He has plus size models as well. And I would love for our Desi media to celebrate darkness more.
And also beauty is nothing, if you are able to present yourself, if your presentation is good, everyone is beautiful.
I love that. That's a beautiful saying. It's true. Yeah. I'm very short, and you have to take up space wherever you are. And even if you're introverted, I'm lucky I'm extroverted, but if you're introverted, there are techniques for you to take up that space, but you just need to know that once you do that, you need some alone time. To regain your energy.
I love me time. I literally love me time.
You're an introvert at heart. Of course, at times we have to be extrovert. I mean, hello, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
But the population is generally divided, and we become ambiverts for different situations.
And I feel like I'm meeting a lot of people in a day. So sometimes, like I need to be by myself, not picking up the phone, not going to the social media. That helps me a lot.
Yeah, that's how introverts regain their energy.
Yeah.
By just having that time, either reading, reflective time.
Yeah.
Us extroverts.
And taking
we
care
need to go to a party.
And taking care of myself as well, like small things.
Yeah. Yeah, the self-care is very important.
Self-care and self-love is very important.
Yes, you learn that as you get
because
along.
If you are not able to love yourself, then how can you impact people?
Yes, but I think some South Asian cultures, we come from a culture of shame.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I'm really hoping that the young people today don't go through as much of it.
I think so. I hope the same. But I think it's changing now.
Yeah.
Even
it's good to see.
Yes, even the perception of my parents, perception of Nepalese parents in Nepal, they are also changing.
Yeah, my parents have totally changed.
Especially with the color things,
Yeah, well, even things like LGBTQI acceptance, right?
That's acceptance, yeah.
So we are in a really exciting time, and there will always be problems. We're not quite out of there yet.
Yeah.
But I think this merger of these younger generations with us exes, we are the elders now, is really exciting.
Yeah, right. And I also always give advice to my sister and brother, younger generation. Life is very beautiful. Explore yourself. Like, tap into the maximum potential you can. You don't need to worry about what other people will think. You don't need to worry about your color, like about your height, about how introverted you are. Even though you are not doing party, it doesn't matter. But just, like utilize your full potential, tapping into your full potential. That's how is life.
Well, they're very lucky to have you as a sister, Big Didi.
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah.
All right, we are kind of end of the show. Do you want to add anything? Do you want to include anything for the new generation?
Yeah, I think just work on your brand.
Yeah.
Instead of on resumes just putting your job descriptions, put your impact.
Yeah.
Stop using words other people are using. Use real words.
Yeah.
Right? And do research. There's a lot of YouTube about how to be great at interviews, how to do resumes in a way that's engaging. Don't put out what you think they want. Put out your unique self, but always when you're going for applications or jobs, think, what value can I add? What value can I add? Versus saying, I'm very good at this, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're saying you are, but prove it. So you need to be able to practice your dialogue to be able to authentically let the other person know, because there's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You've got 2 minutes to impress somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So smile, be confident, practice confidence, practice with your peers, and have that positive attitude, of course.
Right. Positive attitude, confidence, and personal branding is very important.
Absolutely.
And right attitude, and especially mindset, because, to get anything in life, 95% is mindset and 5% is only work ethics.
Absolutely. I might say 90-10.
Yeah, 90-10. Yeah, right. All right, Junita, thank you so much for your time
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Our viewers definitely get a lot of information, a lot of knowledge from your side. And I think I'm going to collaborate with you as well regarding your leadership coach, because my company also definitely need it. And I think you are a very great leader as well. You can be a mentor also.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much again for your valuable time. And I will catch up with you soon.
Okay. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.